topic is formulation of public policy. Formulation of public policy. I have some points and I will discuss them one by one. First of all, I will discuss introduction. Then comes what is the public policy formulation under the Constitution of Pakistan 1973. That is current Constitution of Pakistan still implementing, and abolishment of 18th Amendment. What was the public policy status? So who initiates the process of policy making in Pakistan? So I will discuss them one by one. So first of all, I would say under the Constitution of Pakistan, that is 1973, the responsibility of policy making comes under the executive branch, and with further division among the federal, provincial and local governments. First of all, we would say when we talk about the policy making process, public policy formulation, who formulate public policy, we would say the executive department, the executive institution of Pakistan's parliament, that controls the formulation of public policy. And executive, we can say in other words, executive organ controls the formulation of public policy, and or we can say executive is responsible for the formulation of public policy. But with further division, if we see, then it would be divided among the federal government, provincial government and different local governments in a country. So under the Constitution of Pakistan, we can see that the 18th Amendment, what was the main feature of 18th Amendment? Regarding other changes with many other more than 200 articles, the most prominent thing that was happened in 18th Amendment was the concurrent list. The concurrent list was abolished, and most of its power transferred from the center to the provincial government. It means the provinces were made autonomous under 18th Amendment. They were independent in making their laws. And so the provincial government can further delegate authority, powers, resources under its control to the local government. So it means the power is distributed like was delegated like from federal to provincial government and provincial to local governments within its control or powers. So we can see that the recent legislations on local government are highly restrictive when we talk about the power of the lower tier of government is concerned, except in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In 2001, the local government ordinance that was lapsed in 2010. It was an attempt, and the aim of this attempt was at the substantive devolution of power. Devolution of powers means distribution of powers from higher to lower level. So who then comes, who initiates the process of policy making? Theoretically, we know that an elected government has a manifesto on the basis of which it is voted to power. The ruling party and its leadership should, in principle, decide the priorities in their manifesto, and then the timing, sequencing, phasing of different policies. Ideally, the government in Pakistan would ask the concerned ministries to prepare a draft document that takes stock of the existing situation, diagnoses the problems, analyzes the various options, outlines the preferred option, cost, outlets, financial implications, and other action plan along with the milestones and deadlines. We can see that in many countries, like in China, for example, we can say each ministry has a research institute which helps in compiling data, carrying out analysis and preparing background material. We can see that it is the best thing that, for example, if any department or institute of our country would have any research department, and then they can help out that institution before implementing any policy, because that research department would analyze the data, collect all the information, and would inform the higher authority about the results and evaluation of the policy that is going to be implemented before its implementation. So this basically it's a draft policy document. So it would be circulated among the various stakeholders, the members of any company, for their views, comments, and suggestions. Some countries also hold public consultations on critical policy documents. So we can say that once the policy is approved, it may be necessary in some circumstances to back it with some legislative instruments that are prepared by the law ministry through the relevant committees of National Assembly and the Senate, and finally before the floor of the houses. Smart governments in Pakistan would bring the policies to parliament when no legislation is required for soliciting the views of opposition parties. Soliciting means advocating the views of opposition parties to ensure a consensus that paves the way for the policy's implementation without friction and continuity. Both the policy and its accompanying legislation, once approved by the legislature, would then be entrusted with the ministry in charge for execution. We can say that once the policy is being approved with its legal value or legislation, then it would be given to the ministry in charge for execution. So the policy would be executed with specified timelines and milestones. So progress would then be periodically reviewed and monitored either by the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, or other. How much does policy making in Pakistan deviate from the ideal process described above? So we can see that the formulation of public policy, that is basically comes under the executive department. Executive department is responsible for the formulation of public policy, and after 18th amendment in the Constitution of Pakistan 1973, many changes were made and the provinces were autonomous and the powers were delegated from higher to lower level. That there was a devolution of powers from higher to lower level, from federal government to provincial government and provincial government to local governments. So to initiate the process of policy making, I have all the detail.